Well, a very good evening, everybody, and how's that for timing? Right on 0515 UTC. We were brought there because it is a German National Day by the German National Anthem. So a very good evening to you all. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. And I can finally report that we have had a lovely dry day, and it looks like we're going to have a dry day for the rest of the week. How stunning. It's not very often that I put the radar picture on, and for 300 k's around Auckland, I do not see any yellow spots, so there we have it. And I'm hearing that Fiji is fairly dry too. So anyway, the actual conditions are 18 degrees. That's almost worthwhile you're thinking about coming home, as many of the New Zealand boats seem to be thinking. 30% cloud cover at the moment, 1026.5, still inching up a little bit, and only about 7 knots of southwest wind, which is rather nice after all the gales that we have had. The boats that are coming down are all looking quite good. Those are the ones from New Caledonia, actually, we're keeping our eye on. Nice easterly conditions over there. Tequila 2 at about 2458 south, 166, and Makana. You're doing very well. I always keep an eye on the single-handers. Makana is at 2527 south and 16715 east. A little bit slow, so maybe the wind isn't as strong as it looks. It looks like he's still got about 20 knots from the east, but maybe not. Doing 3.4 knots on a course of 181. And then further south is Te Topatia, doing 6.6 on a course of 200. But this was an hour ago for him. 2727 and 166. And then further south from there, probably going into fairly light winds, closer to the high, is XL. So doing pretty well, really. The passage from New Caledonia looks like most of them will go on the east side of Norfolk. But we'll wait and see, but they do have to keep an eye on what David will be saying shortly. So that's about what I've got from here. I know Koru is on the way from Fiji. I'll just see if before I pass the microphone, if there is anybody wanting to call in. This is Gulf Harbour Radio listening. Who's it? I think that's Shanti, but it's a little bit noisy coming in at the moment. Is that you, Will, over? Okay, and you have spent 24 hours cogitating. So what are you guys deciding to do, over? Yep, David said, apart from the headwinds, he thought that that would be the decision you would make, good decision. So, yep, we'll be keeping an eye on it. For you folk over in sort of Fiji and Tonga, the look at the headwinds is not very desirable, is it? who wants to have a snotty passage home after enjoying life in the islands? So, all right, we'll keep in touch, Will, and you and Karen can enjoy it a little bit more, and we'll see what happens in a week's time. Over. Yep, roger that. Yep, David will be eyeing up the weather, and I'll pass the microphone to him now, actually, to give a bit of an overview as to what he's looking at passage-wise and weather-wise.
Yeah, well, good evening, everybody out there that's enjoying the tropics. We're almost enjoying the tropics here. 18 degrees, that's not too bad, no. Anyway, a lot of wind up in the islands due to the high pressure system to the south. And this is the typical situation with El Nino. We've talked about it a number of times, so not to hash it over too much, but you still are getting the let's just say the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows, just one after the other, one after the other. And the highs are all higher, lower in latitude, further to the north of New Zealand than normal, as we've said. And so you've got to balance when you're planning a trip as to how big the highs are, size-wise, and how much exposure you're going to have to the eastern side, which generally provides headwinds, which is not very nice. Then you think about, well, we'll just look at when it passes New Zealand, we'll be looking at winds that are coming out of a northerly quadrant. But then, shortly after that, we have a trough that comes through. And that's kind of what's happening now. We've got a high pressure area that's moving toward New Zealand, but by Saturday night into Saturday morning, the low that is a little bit further to the south than normal, again, typical El Nino, that low is sending up the cold front that will extend from New Zealand to Norfolk Island and up to the Coral Sea. The models have been predicting that now for about four days or more. So they all are in agreement, and that's probably pretty much what's going to happen. So after that passes by on Sunday and we go into Monday, Tuesday, then we've got the next high that starts to roll into the Tasman. And it's going to be about a 1025 in the beginning, and its ridge runs almost easterly. If you know where Harbour is in Australia, if you were to draw a line east-northeast, that is pretty much the axis of the high pressure area. So those of you that are in Tonga, that means the winds are going to be pretty much headwinds. Those of you that are in Noumea will have southeasterly winds. So you can see that it depends where you are and where the high is. Then as we roll into, say, Thursday of next week, that high is still hanging about. It's changed its shape rather dramatically. It now is really extended its isobars to the east. They again are going basically from Coffs eastward now, and the isobars are fairly wide apart. So between latitudes of say 25 south and 30 south, there is virtually no wind, and that's Thursday of next week. So that is an opportunity to get from Nuku'alofa or anywhere in Tonga down to Minerva, if you so wish. And it may tempt people to try a passage. But again, what's going to happen is that high is probably going to disappear because the low that is just to the south of the North Island of New Zealand by late on Thursday, it's going to make itself known. And so you're going to have clockwise winds all the way up to about 28 south. And up in, say, the Nemea area, the Fiji area, and the Tonga area, all the winds up there are going to be quite favorable, either east or southeast, wherever you might be. From Tonga, they're easterlies. In fact, you may possibly motor to Minerva Reef next a week from now. And, well, that's a possibility. Enjoy some very, very pleasant uh, times in Minerva Reef. If you can get there when there's no wind, it would be a beautiful situation. But we'll have to see what happens after that. That high is probably going to get eaten up by the low and disappear, and then another high is going to be tracking behind it. And what that's going to do, we don't really know yet because that's more than 10, 12 days out, and there are no models that are going to be accurate that far out. Uh, I can look at models that go out to over 384 hours, but that's just sort of like flipping a coin. There's about a 50-50 chance that what you see is right or wrong. So it's almost pointless to give ideas based on something out that far. So anyway, again, remember October, windiest time of the year, although up where I said between 20 and 30 next week, you wouldn't know that, but New Zealand will know that. We will have plenty of wind down here for that period of time in October. So anyway, that's about all I've got to say about that, and I'll give it over to the chief.
Well, that was a bit complicated. I was trying to follow along, and I think what I'll do next time is like what we've heard some people do is to look at the synoptic charts and look at what you might be using, windy or whatever, and try and follow along the way David is interpreting what he is seeing. But yeah, that's a bit confusing, but it is still chilly in the mornings here, and whilst we are reporting a lovely day here today, the rest of the country further south is recuperating from the gales and accidents that have been caused by the gales, trees and cars rolling and motorhomes tipping over and stuff like that. So that's what you would have to put up with unless you're patient and wait for things to settle down. Don't forget that you can fill in your time if you are New Zealanders coming home again by voting in the general election. It is going to be quite an interesting one, so take the opportunity to vote at the various places that are open. We can vote here actually now, so that is quite a good idea that you can ignore all the different things that are going on. Mr. Hipkins, of course, is still away with COVID, and he's wanting to have the leaders debate next week. But you know, it's kind of once voting starts, it's kind of a waste of time. The other thing I just wanted to tell you is that for many people seem to be listening on streaming. If you want to ask a question, do so. Make use of the chat box on the right-hand side. If you wanted to ask a question, make a comment or whatever. I'm not sure whether you have to be a subscriber. You can subscribe, it's all free. If you have to do that, not too sure. But anyway, make use of that if you do need to make a comment or a question. Okay, this is a Gulf Harbour Radio. Is there anybody else? Yes, I've got somebody there, but I missed your boat name. Go ahead. Oh, hello, Josh. Yeah, the Magic Dragon. Actually, you sound a little different. It sounds very throaty or bassy. But yes, got your message. So you're looking to return to the land of wind. And so I guess a few people are going to be with you on the passage. So go ahead, over.
Yeah, good idea. I can't get it off, but it's better to do it at the same time. Hopefully that's here we're coming to on Saturday, or for the next few days at that. Not for setting out with all the not for the and the evenings along the way through.
Yep, indeed, Josh, and it is a little bit hard to understand you
You're
actually.
talking too fast.
It just probably be better if you slowed down a little bit, and that would sort of enable us to try and work out what you are saying. But anyway, you are looking to come from Fiji. I've just stated to be a little bit more specific on what you're looking at. So you've got people coming on the 6th and looking to sail, I guess, as soon as you can from there. But probably leave that till tomorrow night and have another good look. How long is, on a normal passage for you, how long do you take? Over?
Normal was not really we could be about 8 or 9 days, I think. I'm happy with 8 or 9 days,
All right, so we'll have a look tomorrow for the 8 or 9 days and see when would be a sort of an acceptable trip for you. But yeah, just look at things and see what you think as to what you can put up with and what sort of conditions you really want. I don't think this year there's going to be any perfect passage. We can mark that one off as a no-go.
I can say right now.
And David can say right now, hang on a minute, I'll pass the microphone.
Yeah, so normally how we work this thing is we do want a specific ETA from you. And the reason for that is it shows that you're really looking at the weather and so forth and so on. I think you've heard us say that before. But anyway, given that, if you arrive in New Zealand around the 11th or the 12th of this month, your winds will be favorable. They look like they're going to be westerlies. You have got a depression. Again, this is the depressions that are running a little bit south of New Zealand. And the winds are going to be fairly reasonable for you at that point in time. But just behind that, after the 12th, there's going to be a lot of wind and a frontal band that's going to hit New Zealand. So that's why I want to know exactly the ETA that you're planning. So, yeah, it's that simple. I don't want to give you something unless I know that there's a possibility of you taking a longer period of time for whatever reason, and then getting involved in some strong winds and frontal bands and whatnot. So, again, 11th or 12th, if you get there, then that looks pretty reasonable. But after that, then there could very well be a problem for you. So anyway, do a little bit more homework, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, right, that's this for 12 years, looking at that week, I think our ETA is going to be the 15th of October, around about the 15th of October. So, if that weather would have gone through to the start of the 10th already. Yes, okay, I'll carry on looking at the weather and I'll
Yeah, and your radio is sounding better now, whatever you've done. Yeah, the closer we get to, well, the 6th, so we can look ahead then. But, yeah, you don't want to come into that weather that he was talking about. But, of course, it's a long ways away, so it'll be more precise as you get towards the 6th. So we've got 3 days away anyway by the time your folk settle themselves in. Okay, we'll clear with the Magic Dragon, and is there anybody else? Having said I will check the stream for any questions, I better just do that. No, there's nothing there. Alright, that's it from us. All you German cruisers out there have an extra shot or something to celebrate your National Day. And we will be back again tomorrow. This is Gulf Harbour Radio Clear, and the frequency is yours if you want it. Cheers all.